Have you ever walked into work thinking it's your time, only to realize someone else has already stolen it from you? 3 years. That's how long I'd been grinding in silence. No shortcuts. No office gossip games. Just results. Late nights, forgotten weekends, and a client portfolio that made half the department look good. I wasn't just doing my job, I was making my boss look like a genius. His name? Colin. The kind of manager who compliments your work in private, then claims it in the meeting room like he birthed the idea himself. But none of that mattered. Because the promotion I'd been working toward, one that only opened every 18 months, was finally in reach. I had every reason to believe it was mine. My numbers were leading, feedback was solid, and even the department director had said, "Leadership ready. We see you." Until I didn't hear anything. At all. No email. No prep meeting. Just silence. And then whispers. About performance concerns. About maybe she's not the right fit after all. My name was gone from the shortlist. But I didn't panic. I didn't cry. I watched. I listened. And then, one night, I made a decision. What happened the next morning? Changed everything, and no one saw it coming. What does it feel like to be the obvious choice until suddenly, you're not even in the conversation? Let me take you back to 4 weeks before everything exploded. The buzz about the new leadership role had started making the rounds. Everyone wanted it. Higher pay, more visibility, a chance to finally escape micromanagement hell. But let's be real, there were only 3 real contenders. And I was one of them. Actually, I was the frontrunner. I wasn't just clocking in and out. I had turned around 2 underperforming client accounts. I built a new onboarding flow that saved the company almost $70,000 annually. And when Colin, my manager, presented the Q3 results, guess whose work took up 3 slides of his deck? Mine. He didn't say that out loud, of course. He called them team initiatives. But I didn't care. I believed that real work always rises. That merit speaks louder than office politics. Apparently, I was wrong. Because just when things should have been accelerating, meetings started happening without me. Strategy calls where my name should have come up didn't. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe it was an oversight. Maybe Colin forgot to loop me in. But then my name disappeared from the prep list for the internal leadership workshop. No invite. No explanation. Just an empty calendar. That's when I saw it. Colin in a corner meeting with HR, speaking low, hand over his mouth. And that's when I realized this wasn't a mistake. This was a setup. What do you do when your reputation is being rewritten behind your back and no one's telling you? At first, I gave Colin the benefit of the doubt. I mean, come on. This was the same guy who used to drop lines like, "You're a rising star, and I'm grooming you for leadership." So when I saw him whispering with HR, I told myself it was something else. But my gut said otherwise. So I checked. We use an internal dashboard where managers can log performance notes, private ones, accessible only to leadership and HR. Normally, those fields are empty unless there's a formal issue. Mine weren't empty. They were full. And I'm not talking about minor feedback. I'm talking red flag level accusations, missed project deadlines, inconsistent communication with stakeholders, even disruptive attitude during team meetings. I stared at the screen for 10 full seconds. Because I knew exactly what those notes were doing. They were laying a paper trail. A subtle demolition of my credibility, brick by brick. No confrontation. No warnings. Just slow administrative erasure. I printed everything. Every fake note. Every timestamp. Then I reached out to 2 teammates I trusted. Quietly. Carefully. And guess what? One of them admitted Colin had expressed doubts about my ability to handle leadership. Said it didn't seem like I had the right temperament. I've never even raised my voice in that office. And that's when I stopped trying to prove I deserved the promotion. And started building a case to expose who didn't deserve their position at all. But before I made a move, I needed one more piece. And getting it meant digging where no one wanted me to look. What if the only way to win was to stop playing fair? Once I realized Colin was building a quiet case against me, I stopped waiting for justice. I started engineering it. And no, I didn't storm into HR or schedule some dramatic confrontation. That's not how corporate warfare works. You don't win with noise. You win with receipts. So I spent that weekend gathering everything. Project timelines, email chains, Slack messages where he'd praised my work, then claimed it as his own 2 days later in executive updates. I pulled up dashboard analytics, client feedback forms, meeting transcripts, anything with a digital timestamp I could cross-reference against his fake claims. And when I had that, I called Noor. She used to be my mentor before she transferred to legal. She picked up on the first ring. I told her I needed to know what kind of evidence holds weight in an internal review. Not hypothetically. Real talk. Noor didn't ask questions. She just said, don't accuse. Just present. Make it impossible to ignore. That night, I built a presentation. Not for clients. Not for my manager. For the people above him. It was titled, Discrepancy in Leadership Reporting, a Data Integrity Brief. Every slide was cold, clinical, and bulletproof. No emotion. Just evidence. Side-by-side comparisons, what Colin reported versus what I delivered. The last slide? Recommendation. Immediate Transparency Review. Prepared by Maya S., Senior Strategy Analyst. I finished it at 2:12 a.m. And when I hit save, I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. But the real twist was how I planned to make them see it, whether they wanted to or not. How do you make sure the right people see what they've been trained to ignore? You don't ask for permission. At 6:58 a.m. on Monday, I sent the file. No dramatic subject line. Just 6 words. Leadership Candidate Performance Transparency for review. And I didn't just send it to HR. I CC'd the VP of Strategy, Legal, and the Director of Operations. I knew one thing, in corporate, when something goes to the wrong person, it gets buried. But when it goes to too many right people at once, it becomes radioactive. I closed my laptop. Got ready like it was just another Monday. 9:17 a.m., my badge scanned green into the executive floor. I hadn't been invited. But when you CC the VP, they tend to remember your name. Noor met me by the elevator. She didn't say anything, just nodded. Inside the glass boardroom, the energy was tight. Not chaotic, but alert. The VP slid the printout across the table. We'd like you to walk us through this, he said. So I did. Slide by slide. No commentary. No emotion. Just the raw contrast between Colin's version and the truth. Halfway through, someone called for Colin to join. He walked in like he'd just walked out of a funeral. Pale. Tight jaw. Avoided eye contact. I kept going. My final line. If internal advancement decisions are based on manipulated performance data, it compromises more than just employee trust. It compromises leadership credibility. Silence. Then a single sentence from the VP. We'll be investigating this immediately. That was Monday. By Friday, Colin was on administrative leave. And me? I wasn't just reinstated as a promotion candidate. I was offered a bigger role than the one I applied for. But what came next wasn't just a title change. It was something no one at that table expected me to do next. What do you do when you finally get everything they tried to take from you? You decide what not to do with it. The following Monday, I was offered the new role, officially. Not just the original team lead position, but a cross-functional strategy role that placed me over multiple units. It came with a higher pay band, direct reports, and, ironically, a dotted line to the same director Colin used to report to. And yet, I turned it down. Yeah, I said no. Not because I didn't earn it. Not because I wasn't ready. But because something bigger had shifted. See, this whole thing? It wasn't about a job title. It was about power and how quietly it gets misused when no one's watching. The scariest part? If I hadn't checked that dashboard, if I hadn't called Noor, I'd be labeled difficult right now instead of promotable. So I took something else. I requested a role on the company's Internal Ethics Council, a group that reviews anonymous complaints and evaluates manager behavior. They offered it to me within the hour. Because I didn't just prove I was a good employee. I proved I was dangerous to people who hide behind process while playing dirty. And for anyone watching this thinking, that would never happen in my office, ask yourself, are you sure? Because I didn't see it coming either. If you've ever been sabotaged, silenced, or skipped over, I want you to comment, "They won't see me coming," and send this to someone who needs to know. You don't have to raise your voice to shake a building. You just need to speak when it matters most.